Clark brothers. 2 Corinthians, the first chapter. And I want to call your attention to verses 8 through 10. At first, I want to read it out of the King James Version. Then I want to read it out of the Message Remix Bible, the Message Remix Bible. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 8 through 10 read like this. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 8 through 10, it reads like this. For we would not, brethren and sisters, have you ignorant of our trouble which came to us in Asia, that we were pressed out of measure, above strength, insomuch that we despaired even of life. But we had the sentence of death in ourselves, that we would not trust in ourselves, but in God, which raiseth the dead. Verse 10, who delivered us from so great a death, and doth deliver, in whom we trust that he will yet deliver. I want you to stand and continue to listen as I read this from the Message Remix Bible. Here it is. It says, we don't want you in the dark, friends, about how hard it was when all this came down on us in the Asia province. It was so bad we didn't think we were going to make it through it. We felt like we'd been sent to death row, that it was all over for us. As it turned out, it was the best thing that could have happened. Instead of trusting in our own strength or wits to get out of it, we were forced to trust God totally. Not a bad idea, since he's the God who raises the dead. And he did it, rescued us from certain doom, and he will do it again, rescuing us as many times as we need rescuing. My brothers and my sisters, I would like to label these few lines with this thought very simply: the University of Adversity. Thank you. You may be seated. If you would look at that person on your left and right and say, person sitting beside me, I'm in the University of Adversity. That's the wrong neighbor. They trying to be sedity and bougie. Find you one more and say, neighbor, I'm enrolled in the University of Adversity. My brothers and my sisters, no matter who you are, no matter where you've been, no matter where you are now and where you will go in the future, all of us will spend some time at this place called the University of Adversity. I did not ask you if this was your school of choice. I did not ask you what were your first three options and top picks. All of us will spend some time in the University of Adversity. I did not ask you to go on Google and look up scholarship information. You don't have to go to the school and meet with the Office of Admissions or Recruitment, because all of us have full ride paid for to attend the University of Adversity. My brothers and sisters, all of us at some point in time in our lives will have to take a few courses. We'll have to take some semesters. We will have to endure some rigorous classes taught by Dr. Payne and Professor Patience. We will have to sit down sometimes in the lab room and in the classroom to be taught new things that we would have never learned other places. Understanding that the classroom is where God allows us to be taught. However, every now and then God will take us down to the laboratory where we'll be tested. And the true student is not just a student that can retain information in the classroom, but at the University of Adversity, what really counts is if you can make it through the laboratory experiences. Those times where God places the heat on your life to see and sift the good from the bad. All of us will spend some time at the University of Adversity. But my brothers and my sisters, I must be real with you here. At the University of Adversity, there's a problem I must inform you about. Here lately at the University of Adversity, they've been dealing with a dilemma of dropouts. Because the classes and life and the circumstances and the problems and the pains and the pressure and the tension and the stress get so overwhelming that some people can't endure through the University of Adversity. But my brothers and my sisters, Paul told me to tell you, I have not apprehended, but one thing I do, I'm forgetting those things which are behind and I'm pressing towards the mark. Paul also said, be not weary in well doing, for in due time you'll reap if you faint not. Isaiah said, even the youth shall faint and be weary. The young men shall utterly fall, but they that wait upon the Lord, he'll renew your strength. You will mount up with wings as eagles. Run, not get weary. Walk and not faint. Here it is. We can't, as children of God, drop out just because stuff gets bad. And my brothers and sisters, the reality is that there are some pastors in America whose flaws have been exposed in the media. And the reality is, if those allegations on certain pastors in high positions become true, the reality is there's some people in the pews that will leave the church and drop Jesus because a man fell short of the glory of God. Let me tell you something. I refuse to drop out on the Lord because of a man. No man died on Friday. No man put nails in his hands for me. Shake somebody's hand and say, please don't drop out. The best is yet to come. You can't give up yet. Don't you ever put a period where God put a comma. Don't you ever quit in the middle of what God's doing new in your life. I love the University of Adversity, although they're dealing with a dilemma of dropouts. Can I tell y'all the main reason I don't mind going through? Can I tell y'all my main reason? Here it is. The school has a lot of good alumni. Oh, Lord, help me in here. See, every good school has a list of alumni that help to recruit new people to go to the school. And so if that school has a lot of good, reputable alumni, then other people don't mind going through it. Come here, Moses. Moses told me to tell you, I'm an alumni. Come here, David. David told me to tell you, I'm an alumni. Come here, Joshua. Joshua told me to tell you, I'm an alumni. Come here, Hosea, Obadiah, Zephaniah, and Zechariah, and Malachi. Come here, Peter, Paul, James. Come here. Let me testify that you made it through. And here's what all of them are saying. It ain't no secret what God can do. What he's done for others, he can do for you. And matter of fact, you don't have to just go through the Bible. Look back in your rich history. Whenever I get discouraged, I look back on the alumni and bring me some Carter G. Woodson. Bring me some Harriet Tubman. Bring me some Gardner C. Taylor, some Samuel DeWitt Proctor, some Ralph Bunch, some Mary McLeod Bethune, some Martin Luther King. I wish y'all would talk to me up in here. I'm looking at the alumni. I don't mind going through the University of Adversity. All of us will be there. Some of y'all think I go to Morehouse. No, I don't. I'm enrolled at the University of Adversity. Have you ever met seasoned saints who went through no college but yet have more wisdom than Solomon? Can I tell you why your grandmama and great-grandmother had that kind of wisdom? They took some classes at the University of Adversity. And Paul today is saying, I also went through this University of Adversity. Paul, that tent maker from Tarshish. Paul, whose name used to be Saul. One day, he was on a road called Damascus, and he was going to persecute Christians, and God knocked him down and blinded his eyes, and he heard a voice from heaven saying, Saul, Saul, why art thou persecuting me? What's wrong with you, boy? Don't you know it's hard to kick against the bricks? And God changed Saul's name to Paul. And I need to park there for a moment to tell you, be very careful when you judge people because of where they are right now. We serve a God who will change your name. Your name used to be a prostitute, but now you're a preacher. Your name used to be an alcoholic, but now you're anointed. Your name used to be a drug dealer, but now you're a deacon. Anybody know God can change name? And Paul said, God changed my name. And I was preaching for God. I was serving God. I was delivering God's message. I was spreading Jesus' word through this movement called The Way. And Paul said, I found something very interesting, Reginald. Reggie, here's what happened to me. Although I was saved, it did not stop me from suffering. Although I was blessed, it did not stop me from being burdened. And Paul said, I went through this universe of adversity. I know about it. I was shipwrecked. I was beat up. I was thrown in jail. I went through some stuff. Folk talked about me. Folk denied that I was representing God and said I was representing the devil. I went through it. I said, Paul, well, tell me one thing. How did you make it through the University of Adversity? Greater Travelers Rest, are y'all interested in how to make it through? Here it is. Number one, Paul says, whenever you're going through the University of Adversity, number one, you have to be real. Look at somebody and say, please be real. Now, Reggie, where you getting this from? You making this up? No, I'm not. It's right there in verse 8. Look what it says. It says, for we would not, brethren and sisters, have you ignorant of trouble which came to us in Asia. Paul is writing this letter to the church of Corinth, who's probably going through. He gives us no details about this struggle. He doesn't tell us exactly what the struggle or the torment is. He said, I just don't want y'all to be ignorant about what I've been going through while I'm away. And you know what? Church is one of the few institutions that celebrate Halloween all year long. Okay, some of y'all sleepy, didn't have no Starbucks or Burger King. Church creates more fibbers and liars than any other place. Because when you meet a church person, I didn't say Christian, church person, ask them how they doing. Blessed, highly favored. Too anointed to be disappointed. Too equipped to be whipped. Too blessed to be stressed. Don't that sound good? But there's a thin line between being positive and being phony. And my brothers and sisters, what Paul is saying is, I'm writing y'all this letter to let you know everything has not been good for me. As a matter of fact, I've discovered you really don't get whipped until God equips you. You really don't become disanointed until you've been anointed. You really don't become stressed until you become blessed. So we have to get to a place in our lives where we say, Lord, I'm having a rough day. If somebody asks me how they doing, I'm going to tell them the truth. How is school going? Pray for me. Spelman is tempting. Pray for me. My grades are slipping sometimes. Pray for me. Y'all being fake up in here. Can anybody say every now and then I just need to be real and ask somebody to connect with me so we can have a jumper cable anointing and you hook up to me, I hook up to you, and we make it through it. Somebody say be real. But after you're real, understand it's going to get rough. Number one, be what? But then secondly, it's going to do what? It's going to get rough. Where do you see this, Reggie? Here it is. Look right there. It says, for we would not have you ignorant, brethren, for the trouble which came to us in Asia. We were pressed out of measure, above strength, insomuch that we despaired even of life. He said literally in verse 9, he said it felt like we had a death sentence on us. In the Message Bible, it says it was so bad we didn't think we were going to make it. We felt like we'd been sent to death row. That was it for us. It was over. Now, I can't ask everybody this question, but there are a few people in the room who found themselves in a place where you can relate to Paul. A place where whatever you went through felt so overbearing. It was so heavy on you that it was literally weighing you down. When you went through that divorce, you tried to smile, but it was weighing you down. And so bad was the divorce, so bad was the breakup that you didn't even think you would make it through it. Have you ever been there when you lost a loved one and you had more questions and exclamation points and you said, God, why? You felt like you wouldn't make it through it. Have you ever been there? when life was on you so horribly, you didn't think that you would make it through it? You got that bill at the first of the month, you don't think you're gonna make it through it? Your child is so trifling, you don't think you're gonna make it through it? School is so troubling, you don't think you'll make it through it? But something blessed me the other day. I read about a golf ball. And do you know the first golf balls had no dents in them? So the golf players would get the golf club, hit the ball, no dents. It was a perfect sphere. And so what happened is the golf players discovered the balls that they kept on using got some dents in them, got some scratches on them. They didn't look as good as they used to. But they discovered the balls with the dents will go further than the balls with no dents. So in 1906, they said, put some dents in all the balls. And what they discovered was, because of the dent, the ball went further. Can I talk to you for a minute? Quit being embarrassed because you got a dent. Just because you got pregnant before you were married. Just because life didn't go how you wanted it to go. You ought to say, God, I thank you for dents. I ain't telling you what I heard, I'm telling you what I know. In 2003, my mother and father went through a divorce, but God said, Reggie, I'm gonna put this dent on you so you can relate to other people with dents. So now I say, God, I thank you, not just for money in the bank, not just for girls and players, but Lord, I thank you for dents. Is there anybody here who can say, Lord, thank you for the dent? Look at somebody and say, because I got a dent on me, but I still got a destiny. I got a dent on me, but I still got a future. I got a dent, but I'm going to make it. Yeah. Whenever you go through the University of Adversity, number one, be what? Number two, it's going to get what? But then thirdly, here it is, you're going to have some relief. Somebody shout relief. And sometimes you be real, that's all you're looking for every now and then. When you pick up that weed, brother, to smoke it, you really don't enjoy the weed, you just want some relief. When you hanging out at Applebee's and Dugan's on Flash Shows drinking, you don't even like the way it tastes, you just want the, well, here's how you're gonna get some relief. What you see, Reggie? I see something interesting here. You get relief because number one, God is reliable. Look right there in verse 9. But we had the sentence of death in ourselves, that we should not trust in ourselves. But, I like that three-word conjunction, but in God. See, sometimes God allows you to go through something to realize you can't take yourself through it. Could that be why God allows certain troubles in our lives so that we learn that you can't get it out by yourself? You alone can't make it through it. You alone can't do it. And God is saying, Paul said, it was good for me to go through it because I stopped relying on my bank account. I stopped relying on my network and connections. I stopped relying on who was my Facebook friend. And I start relying on the power and fervency of God. And is there anybody here who can say, God, thank you for showing me that I can rely on you? That's why Solomon said, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him and he'll direct thy path. But you got relief, number one, because God is what? Reliable. But then secondly, God has a good resume. Put this on the screen. Here it is. Verse 9 and 10. Verse 10, look at verse 10. Look what it says. Who delivered us from so great a death and doth deliver, in whom we trust that he will
Oh, Lord, I wish y'all would wake up in here. Look what Paul said. He delivered us. He doth. In other words, he do. For my English teachers, he does. He delivered us. He does deliver. And look at this. And he will yet. See, I didn't learn a lot at MLK High School, but I did learn that that's past tense, future tense, and present tense. In other words, God delivered us. Past tense. He is delivering us. Present tense. But there's a future tense also that he will continue to deliver. Shake somebody's hand and say, neighbor, the God I serve, he has a good resume. Somebody shout, yeah. Why you tripping now because you don't have money? Let me tell you something. Look back real quick. And if you look back, you will see he did pay your bills. He is paying your bills. And he will continue. Number one, when you get to the universe of adversity, number one, be what? Number two, it's going to get. But then thirdly, you're going to have some. But then last and finally, you got to learn how to rejoice. Now, I intentionally skipped a scripture. Go back up to verse 3. And verse 3 blew my mind. Because Paul said in verse 3, look what he says. Blessed be God, even the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the fathers of mercies, and the God of all comfort. Paul does something he usually doesn't do. Because usually you never write a letter to anybody without letting them know what's going on. But Paul got so happy. In verse 3, he said, blessed be God. He kept on writing in verse 8, 9, and 10. Then he told them what was going on. So literally in verse 3, he's happy all by himself. Y'all missed it. Let me see if I can make this make sense. See, I'm the chaplain of the football team at Morehouse College. I don't play football, but I stand on the sidelines and cheer like I know how to play football. And one day something interesting happened. The quarterback dropped back in the cut. He threw the ball to the wide receiver. The wide receiver caught it on our team, and he took off down the field. Past the 50, past the 40, past the 30, got right there to about the 35, and a brother standing beside me who was a bench rider put his hands up in the air. And I looked over at him, I said, now I know the game of football, that ain't no touchdown. What your hands up for? So the brother's on the field, he keeps on running. 35, 20, 10, 5, touchdown. And the referee said, I said, now, that's a touchdown. Whenever there's a touchdown, the referee will say, but something interesting happened. The player was not all the way in the end zone, but my brother on the team expected a touchdown. So because he was expecting, let me ask you a question. I wonder, do we have a room full of referees? See, referees got to see it before they call it. A referee got to see it before they shout. But my brother on the team said, even while God is on the 50, while God is on the 40, while God is on the 30, while God is on the 20, somebody say glory. Because I can shout before I see it. I got to leave y'all here. But I'm sure if I poll the room for a second, I'm sure if I poll this church for a second, and I asked you about the year 2010, somebody in the room would say, Reggie, I've had some good days. Yes, they say, Reggie, I've had some bad days. They say, Reggie, I've had some hills to climb. But when I look around and think things over, my good days still outweigh my bad days. Do me one favor, shake your neighbor's hand. Say, neighbor, I found myself at this university. I found myself crying sometimes. I found myself getting weary sometimes. But neighbor, I'm so glad that weeping may endure for a night, but joy is coming in the morning. Is there anybody here who can say, Lord, I thank you for my classes. I thank you for every storm. I thank you for every temptation, because if I never had a problem, I would not know you were able to solve them. But my last reason why I don't mind going through the university of adversity is because one of these old days I'm gonna put on my robe and I'ma tell the story. I made it, how I made it over. Graduation is on the way. Graduation is on the way. And oh, I wanna see him look upon his face that'll sing forever. Some glad morning when this life is over. I will fly away. Shake your neighbor's hand. Say, neighbor, happy graduation. One of these old days, I'ma get 2 wings to veil my face. 2 wings. Hey, anybody can't wait to get there? My grandmother over there. My mother will be over there. Reverend Shepherd is over there. And one of these old days, I'm going on up to heaven. Say yeah. Shout yeah. Shout yeah.